Welcome back to the class. Welcome back to Ask IITians. So, how's going on? Have you seen all of these videos, the last session which we have done from acid, bases, and salts? And the thing is that students, like after covering up 6 sessions, so we are at the seventh session in which we are going to wrap up whole of the chapter that is called as the acid, bases, and salt. And in all of these session, we have covered up all of these topics which are coming in the board examination, which are from the point of view of you can say that from the Olympiads as well. So because we have seen equilibrium, we have seen Lee checklist principle, we have seen degree of dissociation, we have seen pH, how we calculated. And my dear students, if you remember, like in the last video, if you have seen that it contains the part of the salt, that what the salt is, what are the type of salts. And if I say not only types of salt, we have discussed about some salts also, like that's a common salt, if you remember, that is the NaCl. And in that one question, I have asked to you that name three different type of substances, chemical substances, which we prepared from the common salt. So the answer was there that first we used to prepare the NaOH from it, that is called as the caustic soda, if you remember all of this. So it's the caustic soda. But students, like the other two, because we have to give the answer of the three chemical substance, so the other two you are going to discover today, okay, in this session. So I hope you are getting everything in your in your syllabus and everything from these topics. So what topics we are going to cover up here, that we are going to cover up some of the salt part, or you can say that some of the topics, or some of the part which relates with our daily life only, okay. So you can see the topics which we are going to cover up here. It is the bleaching powder, baking soda, washing soda, and plaster of Paris. Paris, not Paris. I'm so sorry. So yes, students, like these are the topics which we are going to discover today, or start learning from here. So students, like bleaching powder. I hope so. Bleaching powder is that thing which everyone knows, that what's the bleaching powder is and what's the purpose of bleaching powder, if I say. Okay, so we'll starting with our session. So first topic of this session is bleaching powder. So what's the bleaching powder, student? If you know that bleaching powder is generally used to bleach clothes. For example, if I'm having like black not black, hmm, yeah, white. Okay, I'll say white. I am having one white sweater, or not sweater. I am having one white shirt, and if I want that, I was like, okay, now it has been so much bored that I have been wearing this white shirt from last 2 years. But the design of shirt I would like it's very nice. It's very cool. So I don't want to waste that shirt, but I want the change of the color. So what I'll do, I'll go to some shopkeeper which do bleaching thing. So I'll say that please bleach my white color shirt to some blue color or pink color or black color, because I like that design so much. So I want to let that shirt to go like this. So that's how students, bleaching powder is used to bleach the clothes, you can say, for the dyeing purpose. Okay, dyeing, not dyeing, that not, okay, I'll write down the spelling of dyeing. This one, dying, okay, not dying. Okay, I hope you got the difference between what time I am talking about. Dye, that is dye, dye, the color of clothes. And even though if you see that in the cosmetic part also, like there is some bleaching process is there, that we do bleaching, and that's how what happened, that the impurities or so many unwanted particles are present on our faces, so they get removed by using the bleaching. So that's how student bleaching powder is there. Now what's the bleaching powder is? So my dear students, like if I say what's the bleaching powder is, so the bleaching powder is having the formula of CaOCl2. This is the formula of bleaching powder, which we also called as the calcium hypochlorite. Calcium Oh, sorry, not calcium hypochlorite. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Because it happens sometimes that teaching something in different session and then we have to shift to another part. It happens sometimes. So it's like calcium oxychloride, because it contains calcium, it contains oxygen, it contains chlorine. So the name of the bleaching powder, like if I say what's the chemical name of the bleaching powder is the common name. But if we talk about scientific name or chemical name, so it's the calcium oxychloride, that is COOCl2. And how we prepare it, students, that what's the preparation of the bleaching powder? So it's very simple, that we use chlorine gas over the dry slaked lime. Now what you know what the slaked lime is? So the slaked lime is calcium hydroxide. This is the slaked lime. Fine. And this slaked lime, when it is treated with chlorine, my dear students, so what we are getting from here, we are getting, it's like calcium oxychloride, that is COOCl2 we are getting from here. And this is the bleaching powder. And among like it is like H2O also we get from here. Fine. So this is the calcium oxychloride, that is the bleaching powder. So this is the preparation. Like if in your exam the question can comes like this, that to write down the preparation of bleaching powder or the calcium oxychloride. So the preparation is from that the chlorine gas is passed over the slaked lime, and that's how we go get the bleaching powder along with the water. So this is the bleaching powder. Now I have already told you that what can be the uses of the bleaching powder. Exactly, that we use generally to like coloring clothes or dyeing purposes, we use to bleaching powder. Fine. But one of the most important use of the that is the calcium oxychloride is, students, like if I react with H2SO4, that is the sulfuric acid. So from here what I get, where I get calcium sulfate. Okay, I get calcium sulfate plus chlorine and plus H2O. So it's just that in this case, student, I'm getting chlorine. Now chlorine, if you remember in the last session, I have discussed about the chlorine as well, that what's the chlorine is. So the chlorine is generally used for the disinfectant purpose of water. Okay, like if for the swimming pools, the public swimming pools or water parks that are that so many people gathered there, so that because it happens that some people are having some different type of problem, like someone is having any type of allergy or something like that. So what happened, that if we don't want to transfer the disease from one person to the another person, so what they do, that on the regular basis, what they'll do, that they clean the water by using the chlorine as a disinfectant, so that any of the infection or any of the bacteria, something like that is present in the water, it is going to be killed. Okay, by using the chlorine as the disinfectant. So this is the property of this bleaching powder, that by reacting it with H2SO4 we get chlorine. Fine. Now what can be the other uses of it? So the bleaching powder, as you can see, that there are the coloring purposes they are showing you here. So we use the bleaching powder for the coloring purpose of our clothes. Okay, so for color, changing color, and even in the cosmetic parts also. So these are the uses of the bleaching powder. And like you can observe many other uses of the bleaching powder as well. So but the thing is that I'm just going to tell you only this, and if you want you can discover other uses of bleaching powder as well. So from that, student, what will happen, that you'll also have some knowledge from your own side. It's not that I'm just teaching you and you are just listening the videos and that's it. It's not like that. If you want to score good marks, you also have to give your efforts. Exactly. So please try to find out more uses of the bleaching powder. So this is the bleaching powder, students, that we generally use in our like it is a daily life use, that it is taken in the daily life uses as well. Okay, so like whenever you are going to some dyeing shops, they will definitely having this bleaching powder. And even the student, like in cosmetic, I have tell you this bleaching has been used up. Okay, so this is the bleaching powder, students. So this is the first daily life that you can say basic compound or basic substance which we use in our houses, but it's just that we don't know what's the chemical formula is or what can be their other uses as well. We just know what's the okay, bleaching powder. Okay, so we'll do the dyeing, but why? Because it is having the property of bleaching. Okay, that it will change the color. Now moving ahead, my dear students. So, okay, now coming to the baking soda, and I hope baking soda is something like that, which is very, very, like very much familiar to you, because baking soda, students, we used in many of the eatables, to prepare eatables in our houses, like for example making bhaturas and cake as well. Cakes, pastries, we required baking soda, so baking soda we use in our houses. Okay, but what's the baking soda is now, again we know, okay, baking soda we are having, like if you go to some shop and you'll ask that, okay uncle, please get me one baking soda, so he will definitely give you one packet or something like that, and it will have in the powder, and you can use that white powder at your home for your purpose. But as we are studying chemistry here, so we don't have to see their domestic uses. We have to see, but it's just that we don't have to use it like we use it in our daily life. We have to learn its scientific use or scientific name. So what's the baking soda, students? It's the chemical name of baking soda is sodium hydrogen carbonate. Okay, just a second. Okay, so yeah, I hope you all can see from here. Fine. So baking soda. So anyone of you prepare cakes at your homes? I like very much. Like I like pastries very much. But I don't know how to made it at home, so I'll just go and purchase it and just eat it. Okay. So yeah, coming back to baking soda. So what's the baking soda is? Baking soda is having the chemical formula, because we are studying chemistry right now, so we have to focus on that part. Okay. So baking soda is the sodium hydrogen carbonate, and its chemical formula, if you see that, it would be sodium, that is Na, hydrogen, and it is carbonate. So this is the chemical formula of the baking soda. Baking soda, not soda. You'll say that what mom is doing today, that like she's pronouncing each and word somewhat different. It happens sometime with me, students, please ignore it. Yeah. So baking soda is the name of that, you can say it's you can say the chemical name of that baking soda is sodium hydrogen carbonate, which we say it is the NaHCO3. Okay, and that we can see that how we can use this baking soda. But first of all, if I ask you that how we use that, how we prepare this baking soda, that is the NaHCO3. So how we prepare it? So first of all, students, look at its preparation. So the preparation of baking soda is that nothing but what we have to use is, we have to use NaCl, and it would be in the presence of ammonia, NH3, and it is H2O along with the carbon dioxide. So what we are getting from here? We are getting NaHCO3 plus NH4Cl. So that's the preparation of the baking soda. And the C student, now this baking soda can also be used as the baking powder. Okay, they both are, you can say, same thing. So this is the sodium bicarbonate or sodium hydrogen carbonate, which is also having some very important daily life uses in our daily life. Why? Because student, this sodium bicarbonate is used to prepare the antacids. And if you remember what are the antacids, that means the medicines which we take to neutralize the acidity in our body, or to neutralize the acid, that is the antacid, that is the baking soda we can use for that purpose. Okay, to prepare the antacid, not exactly it is the antacid, but we use this NaHCO3 so that we can prepare antacid from it. Fine. So this is one of the uses it is having. Second use is that, student, this sodium bicarbonate, if you remember in your class 8 or some, that when you were having the chapter that is the combustion in flame, so in that chapter you come to know that we use extinguishers, fire extinguisher, to control the fire. But how we are using it, that we are having that okay, I'll just tell you right now here, that the extinguishers release carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide is having more weight than the, like it is heavier than the oxygen. So what it will do, it will form the blanket over the burning area, and that's how the fire control. But how we are getting that carbon dioxide? Because, students, the fire extinguisher is having the solution of NaHCO3, and H2SO4, that is the sulfuric acid, and due to which the reaction between these two we get carbon dioxide. So you students, you can say that the baking soda is also used up in the fire extinguishers so that we can we can control fire. So that's the baking soda. You'll say, ma'am, till now, we have just seen baking soda in our houses. Now, baking soda in fire extinguishers, that's you'll not say that, or if you remember that thing, so it would be good for you. And one is written here that the baking soda is sometimes added for faster cooking of food such as grams. So yes. This is this use I forgot to tell you. Now grams, for example, student, if you know that what is the preparation of that is the grams. You know what the gram is. That is if in Hindi I tell you it's chole, which we used to eat with chole chawal or chole bhature like that. Oh my god, I think so. After hearing this, so many of students are getting water in their mouth. Even I also. Okay, so coming back to the baking soda uses. So yes, what happens, student, that the grams, we don't we have to sow them, or we have to keep them keep them in water for a long time, like for 7 to 8 hours, so that we can prepare them next day. So students, what happened that because if we directly use them, they will left you can say the not properly cooked. So it is very important thing to to keep them in water for a long time. But it's not only required that we just have use water, like we have to add baking soda also. Like whenever your mother is going to cook gram, so what you will see that she will add some pinch of the baking soda in it, because so that they will be get to so that we when we cook that gram, so it will be properly cooked and it will be smooth in eating. Exactly. So that's the baking soda is also having that one particular property in domestic use. Actually, starting when I was starting the baking soda na, I was thinking that I'm going to tell you that that example of daily life also, but I forgot to tell you. So yeah, it's a very important thing. Like when we used to prepare rajma or that gram, that is chole, so we have we add baking pinch. It's not like that very huge amount is used. Just we use a pinch of it, so that the next day when we are going to cook it, so it will get cooked properly, or we can eat it as nicely. So that's the baking soda use. Fine. Now uses of baking soda, now you can see that we use it in the preparation of anti-acid. I have already told you, baking of cakes and something like that, pastries, pancakes. Third use, that we use it in the fire extinguisher. You can see here that in the fire extinguisher we can see. Yeah, this is called as the soda acid fire extinguisher. Why soda acid fire extinguisher? Because we are using baking soda as well as the acid. So it's the fire extinguisher can it is also used up in the fire extinguisher. So all are of these uses which I have already told you. So just remember this thing. What's the baking soda is? Baking soda is sodium hydrogen carbonate, and that is NaHCO3. Now why it is important, students? Because like in your exam you're having MCQ parts, so they can ask you what's the chemical formula of baking soda, or they can ask you what's the common name of sodium hydrogen carbonate, or they can ask you what's the chemical formula if I want to write, so what it is. So that's the point, that you should know that okay, this is the baking soda and these are the uses of baking soda. I hope it's not that much difficult, it's the very easy thing, you can remember it. Okay, so this is the bleaching powder and the baking soda. That means, student, we are going to cover up the two topics right now. Okay, but now coming to the third part of it. Now, what's the third part? It is the washing soda. Okay, so one is the baking soda, another one is the washing soda. So washing soda is the sodium carbonate prepared from sodium chloride only. That we use sodium chloride to prepare the washing soda. Okay, it's just that the NaCl is used up to form these bicarbonate, and then bicarbonate can convert into the sodium carbonate. Okay, so that is the washing soda, student. I will tell you what the formula is. But students, like knowing the name of the washing soda, you can easily see that what purpose purpose it can do. That is the washing soda. That means it's generally used for the purpose of washing, like washing clothes, detergents which we are having, they having the washing soda. Okay, so that's how you can say the washing soda is used up, and this is the washing soda we use in our houses. Uses of washing soda we'll see, but first of all, preparation and all of these things we are going to see here. Okay. Hmm. So it's like washing soda, students. So washing soda, if I say it is having the form, that's the chemical name is the sodium carbonate. Okay, it's sodium carbonate. So the chemical formula is written as the Na2CO3.10H2O. That is, it is the if I write down the correct name, so it is the sodium carbonate decahydrate. Decahydrate, why I'm writing, because it is having the 10 molecules of H2O. So this is the chemical formula of the washing soda, that is the Na2CO3.10H2O. Fine. Now, if we see that how we prepare this sodium carbonate. So students, we are having one type of process that we called it as the preparation. Okay, we are going to do its preparation, and that preparation has been done by using the solvase process. Now you'll say, ma'am, what's the solvase process? Okay, so in this process, students, what happened? Please look at it carefully. So it's just that we use some chemicals in it. For example, I'm using 2NH3 is there, plus and what I'm adding in it, it is the H2, like it is like H2O I'm adding in it, and plus CO2. So from here, what I get NH4 whole twice, and it is just that carbonate. So this is the ammonium carbonate. Okay, now from here, if again I add up H2O and CO2 in it, so from here I get the another compound that is called as the sodium bicarbonate, and it is just that the NaCl. I need more space. Why it's not moving down? So yeah, it's the sodium bicarbonate. Okay, I'll write down the name. With, otherwise, you'll say that ma'am is not writing the name. So it is the sodium carbonate, and this NaCl is very familiar to you, that is the sodium chloride, which is also called as the common salt. Now what we do, students, like when we are getting this NaCl and NH4, that is the NH4CO3, so when they react, like we are getting it from here, this is we are getting, and NaCl we are adding in this. So after this, what we get from here, we get it is in the form of the NH4Cl plus NaHCO3. Okay, now this NaHCO3, that is the sodium hydrogen carbonate, that is the baking soda. This sodium hydrogen carbonate, it's going to be formed sodium carbonate, that is the Na2CO3, and along with it we get CO2 plus H2O. And this is what, this is our washing soda. So this is the solvase process, student, that in this case we use ammonia in the presence of water and the carbon dioxide, and we get ammonium carbonate, and then again we use it, which we use, that is the sodium bicarbonate, and then NaCl is added, so that we get ammonium chloride at NaHCO3, that is the sodium hydrogen carbonate, and from that we prepared washing soda. So this is the solvase process which we use to prepare the washing soda. Fine, students. So now, oh my god, you will say that one chapter has been ended. No, 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 no. It's not like that. So yes, now it's the preparation of washing soda. Now where we use washing soda. So my dear students, if the from the word, if you are getting that the washing soda is used up for the washing purposes, that means we use it for the cleansing purpose. We use it cleansing agent, that means in the detergents and something like that. And one of the very important use of the washing soda is that it is used to remove the permanent hardness of, like, sorry, not permanent, the temporary hardness of the water. Okay, now you'll say, ma'am, what's the hardness is, because I hope you haven't, you know this thing or not, I don't know. So student, what happened, we are having two types of water. One is the soft water and another is the hard water. You'll say, ma'am, we drink water generally, we don't think whether it is the soft or hard. What's the soft water, what's the hard water? So students, this is science. science can differentiate anything, like it can differentiate water. So we have two types of water. One is the soft water and one is the hard water, students. So in the soft water, what happens that we are having the calcium and magnesium ions present in it, in the case of the soft and hard as well. But in the case of the soft one, we are having the carbonates of them, like carbonate salt of calcium and magnesium are there. And in the hard water, we are having their sulfates and chloride salt, so they are more stable. That is why that hardness of water is there. So due to that hardness of water, what will happen that if we use the soap in the case of the hard water, so it will not form the bubbles, like the foams we are not getting. We are just getting scums. That is why the soaps are having very less action, cleansing action in the case of hard water. Whereas if we use the soap in the case of the temporary, like that is the soft water, so it is the same thing. So the student, the hardness which we are getting in the hard water, it is the permanent hardness, and the hardness we are getting in the soft water, it is the temporary hardness. So that's the point, student. Washing soda is used up for that purpose, so that we can remove this hardness. So example, student, the detergents and having the property that they can end up in the hard water and they'll show the better action than the soaps. So that is how the detergents are having the washing soda. So the washing soda is used up to remove the hardness of the water, so that we can get more proper action of the soap and detergent, and we'll get more clean clothes. So that's the point of view behind the washing soda. Okay, so I hope you got these points, that about the bleaching powder, about the baking soda, and the washing soda. So three of the topics we have completed. So it's just that, student, why these topics are important, because they are not that much difficult that you have to remember any concept or something like that. You just have to remember some names, and if question come from it, definitely you are getting marks if you remember, you are having the answer, correct answer of it. So it's just that you do have to learn some of the formulas. Fine. Okay, moving ahead. So preparation we have done. Okay, so it's the plaster of Paris. Plaster of Paris, students, that is the POP. Have you heard POP? Like in our houses, we generally talk about that whenever we used to paint our houses. So what we do, that we use the POP, that white color cement if it is there. So what will happen? That is the POP, students. So POP is the calcium sulfate half hydrate or the hemihydrate. It is prepared from gypsum. See, student, gypsum is calcium sulfate, which is having the two molecules of water in it. So when we heat it at 100 degrees Celsius, so we get POP, that is the plaster of Paris. Now, why we are talking it as plaster of Paris? Why we can't say it as plaster of Australia or plaster of India? Why we are calling it as plaster of Paris only? So that's the point which we have to see, that why it is calling as the plaster of Paris. So, my dear students, if I talk about plaster of Paris, so we prepare it from gypsum. Oh, I'm so sorry, gypsum. Okay. Now, students, gypsum is a very hard thing. Okay, it's a very hard thing or hard material, white color material it is, and the gypsum is having the formula of CSO4.2H2O. Okay, so this is the formula of the gypsum. So when this gypsum, that is the CaSO4.2H2O, is heated at 100 degrees Celsius, or I can say at 373 Kelvin, so I get from here, that is the CaSO4.half H2O, and there will be the elimination of 1 by half molecule of water. That means this is the POP, students. Now fine, now see, students, when I have removed the water from it, so what will happen, that we are having it's more in concentrated form, exactly when the water has been removed from it. So very important point comes here, that please, whenever you are preparing POP from the gypsum, this is the gypsum, students, gypsum's formula. So be careful about the temperature. If you are going above the 100 degrees Celsius, if we are going above it, so what will happen, student, that the half molecule of the water which is present here, it is also going to be eliminate, and you are getting what? You are getting just calcium sulfate, and it is not of any use. It is just that the burnt part of, or you can say that the dead burnt plaster, dead burnt plaster. It will not have any use. So always whenever the gypsum is converting into the POP, temperature should be maintained at 100 degrees Celsius. If the temperature is exceeding, so there will be the half molecule of water which is also going to be eliminated, and we are just getting calcium sulfate, which is not of any use. Okay, so this is the gypsum. So that's the preparation of POP. Now, if I say that what's the water of crystallization of calcium sulfate, so it is 2H2O. That means 2 molecules of water is present here, and another name we can say for it is the calcium. Oh my God, you'll say that today, ma'am, is in different zone. Exactly, calcium sulfate. You can write it as half hydrate, or you can also write it as hemihydrate. Okay, so it's the name of the POP. That's the chemical name. Okay, now like the question was there that why we are calling it as plaster of Paris. Why we are not calling it as plaster of Australia, or plaster of America, or plaster of India. It's just that student, the gypsum which we you require to prepare the POP, it is generally like the most of the amount of the gypsum we get from the Paris. Okay, that's why we are calling it as the plaster of Paris. Nice answer, na? I hope many of the students have already expected that what could be the POP, or the what's the answer of that question. So this is the POP, students. Now where we use POP. So like you can see in this picture that forming the ceiling, that the design which we form in like in our houses over the ceiling, so that we use for the POPs. We use the POP to form the toys. And even though the POP is used when we, like, if any person get fractured, so to fix that bone, because it is very hard in nature, so that's why we use this POP, so that that bone get fixed in the formation of the fracture. So the POP has been used up. So that's why students, POP is having so many uses. And even though when we want to make the smooth surfaces, for example, student, our house need the repairment. That means the paint of the house is very dull, and even though from many places the paint has been removed and the cement is coming out. So what happened, due to which what happened then, that the walls get rough. So to make that surface smooth, so we used to like draw the strips of the POP. So that's how we get these smooth surfaces. So this is the uses of the POP, students. Okay, so what's the POP? It's a plaster of Paris which we got from gypsum. And remember this thing, never ever heat gypsum over 100 degrees Celsius. If you are doing that, you will not get POP, you will get just calcium sulfate from it. So that's the point, students, and that's the uses of POP. And even the POP is very much common, that you have, like, I can say this thing, that you have observed the POP in houses. If you have seen any construction work, fracture, plaster of Paris, you know that when someone got fracture, and the plaster which the doctor do, so it is very hard in nature, it's not very soft or something, it is very hard. So why we do that? So that the bone would get fixed to its place. So that's how this is the POP, students. Now coming to the questions which we are having. Name the constituent used as water disinfectant obtained in formation of sodium hydroxide. So my dear students, if in the sodium that the disinfectant which we are getting, so it is the chlorine that we use at the water, that is the disinfectant, which is from the, that is the caustic soda. If you remember that, we have prepared it, and from that we are getting the chlorine. So chlorine, hydrogen, and some and HCl, which we use for different purposes. So the chlorine is one of those which we use for the water disinfectant. Even though here also I have told you this thing. Oh sorry, it is not chlorine. I don't know why it is the chlorine has been written here. Cl2. Okay. Yes, so it's chlorine. So this is the answer of this question. Now the next question says that name a sodium compound used for softening of water. Like I've told you now, that removing of the hardness of water, what we use, students, we use washing soda. So the sodium compound, that means which contains the sodium, so it is the sodium carbonate decahydrate, which used for the softening of water. So student, this is the answer for this question, and I've already told you that what is the requirement of these topics, that you should know their chemical formulas, their chemical names, and their preparations. So that's how, because uses are very simple. If you know that what's the exact meaning of it, so the uses will be very simple for you to learn. Okay, so that's how students, we have completed our one chapter, that is acid, bases and salt. And what I can say is that please do the question of acid, bases and salt, and please revise this chapter. And if you have any query, any doubt from this chapter, or from any other like from the any other video of this chapter, please post your question over the forum, that's on the public or the private forum of the Ask IITians, and definitely my students, you will get your answer and your questions will get solved. And please watch all of the videos and learn from them, and practice more questions. And yes, keep learning from Ask IITians. Thank you.